Hello, big, beautiful, loving planet Earth. Before we get into reading the plot and talking about the movie of Where the Crawdads Sing, I want to point out that there is another series of books that I would like to get, which is called the City of Bones series by Cassandra Clare. And there are 6 books in this, at least in the one that I'm thinking about getting. It's all about Clary Flary or Claire Flary or something along those lines. And I heard about it, or I read about it, because there's a special someone who has a birthday, not special someone, but someone, an actress who I've been following for a while now. And not in a creepy way, just a normal way like most fans do, that has a birthday tomorrow, that I was going through her photos, not all of them, just a few of them, and then I came across it because she plays the person in the TV show Shadowhunters, but we're not gonna talk about her a whole lot right now. All I'm saying is that book series could be a good book series to read. Now, there are still so many more books I have yet to read, but I did finish another book yesterday, and I'm going to talk about it. And I watched the movie last night. And I'm not saying that all movies based on books are great. But this one is pretty good. I'm not saying it's great, it's just pretty good. Now, there are 2 parts here. Bear with me here, because this could take a while. So let's just go back to the top here. Part 1, The Marsh. In 1952, 6-year-old Catherine Danielle Clark, nicknamed Kaya, watches her mother abandon her and her family due to violent abuse from her husband, Kaya's father. While Kaya waits in vain for her mother's return, she witnesses her older siblings, Missy, Murphy, Mandy, and Jody, all leave as well, due to their father's drinking and physical abuse. After her mother leaves, her father burns most of her mother's wardrobe and paintings. Alone with her father, who temporarily stops drinking, Kaya learns to fish. Her father gives her his knapsack to hold her collections of shells and feathers. The illiterate Kaya paints these shells and feathers, as well as the marsh's creatures and shorelines, with watercolors her mother left behind. One day, Kaya finds a letter from her mother in the mailbox and leaves it for her father to find, as she cannot read. When she returns to their home, she finds that he has burned the letter. He returns to drinking and takes long, frequent trips to gamble. Eventually, he does not return at all, and Kaya assumes he is dead, making him the last of the family to leave her alone in the marsh. Without money and family, she survives by gardening and trading fresh mussels and smoked fish for money and gas from gasoline and gas from Jumping, a black man who owns a gasoline station at the boat dock. Jumping and his wife Mabel become lifelong friends of Kaya, and Mabel collects donated clothes for her. As Kaya grows up, she faces prejudice from the townspeople of Barkley Cove, North Carolina, who nicknamed her the Marsh Girl. She is laughed at by the school children on the only day she goes to school, and is called nasty and filthy by a pastor's wife. However, she becomes friendly with Tate Walker, an old friend of Jody's who sometimes fishes in the marsh. When Kaya loses her bearings one day, Tate leads her home in his boat. Years later, he leaves her feathers from rare birds, then teaches her how to read and write. The 2 form a romantic relationship until Tate leaves for college at the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill. He promises to return, yet later realizes Kaya cannot live in his more civilized world because of how wild and independent she is, and leaves her without saying goodbye. Part 2, which is the last part. In 1965, Kaya is 19. Chase Andrews, Barkley Cove's star quarterback and playboy, invites her to a picnic, during which he tries to have sex with her. He later apologizes, and the 2 form a romantic relationship. He shows her an abandoned fire tower, and she gives him a necklace of a shell he found during their picnic, strung to a rawhide string. Despite their suspicions, she believes Chase's promises of marriage and consummates their relationship with a cheap motel room in Asheville, North Carolina. After seeing in a newspaper that Chase has become engaged, Kaya realizes his promises of marriage were a ruse. She then ends their relationship. Tate, having graduated from college, visits Kaya and attempts to apologize for having left her and confesses his love for her. Still hurt from this betrayal, she rejects him. Despite this, she allows him inside her shack, and he is impressed by her expanding collection of seashells. He urges her to publish a reference book of seashells, and she does so, as well as seabirds. With extra money, she renovates her home. The same year, Jody, now in the Army, also returns to Kaya's life. Expressing regret he left her alone, and breaking news, their mother had suffered from mental illness and died of leukemia 2 years previously. Kaya forgives her mother for leaving, but still cannot understand why she never returned. After advising Kaya to give Tate a second chance, Jody sets off for Georgia, leaving Kaya a note with his phone number and address. Sometime later, after relaxing in a cove, Kaya is confronted by Chase. After an argument ensues, Chase attacks Kaya, beating her and attempting to rape her. She fends him off and loudly threatens to kill him if he doesn't leave her alone. The encounter is witnessed by two fishermen nearby, back at her shack. Kaya fears that reporting the assault would be futile, as the town would blame her for being loose. The next week, she witnesses Chase boating up to her shack and hides until he leaves, remembering her father's abuse. Kaya fears retaliation from Chase, knowing these men had to have the last punch. Kaya is offered a chance to meet her publisher in Greenville, North Carolina, and takes the bus there to meet him. After she returns home the next day, some boys find Chase dead beneath the fire tower. The sheriff, Ed Jackson, believes it to be a murder on the basis of there being no tracks or fingerprints, including Chase's around the tower. Ed speaks with sources and receives conflicting statements. He learns the shell necklace Kaya gave to Chase was missing from his body when his body was found, even though he wore it the night he died. Kaya was seen leaving Barkley Cove before the murder, then returning the day after Chase died. There also were red full wool fibers on Chase's jacket that belonged to a hat Tate had given to Kaya, convincing she is the culprit. Ed arrests Kaya near Jumping's Wharf, charges her with first-degree murder, and jails her without bail for 2 months. At Kaya's trial in 1970, only contradictory and circumstantial evidence is provided. Kaya's lawyer, Tom Milton, debunks the prosecutor's arguments, as there was no evidence that Kaya was at the fire tower on the night of Chase's death. The jury finds her not guilty. She returns home and reconciles with Tate. They live together in their shack until she dies peacefully in her boat at the age of 64. Later, while searching for Kaya's will and other documents, Tate finds a hidden box with some of her old possessions and poems she had written. She finds a poem that alludes to Chase's murder, and therefore the poems, the shell necklace Chase wore. Tate burns the poems and the rawhide string before dropping the shell into the beach. Kaya is buried on the property near the shack. So, this is a very good book, and I really loved it. And there were, my honest opinion of the book, I'm going to give it a letter grade, which some of you may not read this book or maybe not even see the movie, but the book I'd have to give an A-, almost a B+, but not quite. Same thing with the movie. But I believe the book was just a tad bit better than the movie. And that does happen from time to time. And don't get me wrong, there are some movies that are better than the books. I will grant you that. But most times the books are better than the movies, because they leave out like a key part, or a key thing that happened in the book that didn't happen in the movie. Like, for example, jumping had passed away, and they mentioned it in the book because Jodie went and told her her brother that jumping had died, and in the movie they don't even say anything about it. They just gloss over it like it never happened. And sometimes that happens where they don't have like every single detail from the book and put it into the movie. But most of it does happen. It may not be every single detail, but a good majority of the book will be in the film. Or a small part of the book will be in the film. Or maybe none of the book will be in the film. But in this case, there's that one detail I just mentioned that was in the book that wasn't in the film. But for the most part, everything else was the same. And who knows what Anna Karenina book compared to the movie will be like. Because I've read books like that before. Like I've read Pride and Prejudice, and then also she's been in both of those films, Anna Karenina and Pride and Prejudice, which that being Keira Knightley. But I'm moving on to another book and another movie that has nothing to do with this video at all. So with that being said, we've got 3 birthdays to wish today, and then we've got a bunch of birthdays tomorrow. So let's just dive into it. I'm going to wish Liz Mace Amick a happy birthday, Meg Mace McKay a happy birthday, and Colleen Ballinger Stockwin a happy birthday today as well. And that does it for today's vlog. Every single person on this planet has a love story that exists in this world. Whether it's someone famous, whether it's someone not famous, everyone's different. Whether that be a guy or a girl, or a man or a woman for you, or a transgendered person, whatever it is for you, that's great. For me personally, she's out there in the celebrity world, whether that be the music world, the acting world, the modeling world, the athlete/wrestling world, the YouTube world, anything other than porn star, strippers, bodybuilders, and then there was one other, Playboy models, or Playboy individuals. That was the one that I forgot to mention in yesterday's vlog, but yeah, I'm mentioning it now. So, I will see you tomorrow with a brand new vlog, and bye-bye.